welcome University of Iowa. And hey, I want to thank Mega for getting everything coordinated this evening. Appreciate all your support with that for the AMA. I'm Crystal Freitagger. I'm the Senior Manager of Academic and Industry Relations with Aspen Dental Management. I represent the 800 plus Aspen Dental branded practices nationwide. For those of you guys who don't know enough or a lot, I guess, about Aspen Dental, I'll give you a little bit of background. Aspen Dental currently covers 43 states. We just opened in New Jersey this year, and our 44th state, Colorado, will open next year in the first quarter and the second quarter of 2021. So we're coming into Colorado here very soon. Aspen Dental Management, a DSO, is a built-in business partner and consultant for our dentists, and we offer every type of support. We're 100% aligned with their success. Our dentists own the practice under the Aspen Dental brand, and we provide that non-clinical business support for the dentists when they need it and however they need it. So for tonight, we're going to have a couple of practice owners on, and actually you'll have Dr. Adrienne Fermonic is on right now, and her husband, Dr. Joseph Fermonic. Both of our practice owners are going to be joining us, so he's just getting off and will be home shortly, so he'll jump in as well. And then we'll also have coming on here is
there's Brett.
Yes, our practice owner, Dr. Brett Parrott, and he is just finishing up his day as well. So we'll have three practice owners on. We'll have three practice owners on for this evening. So to get through a couple of housekeeping items before I have them introduce themselves, I'll point out really quick that at the bottom of your screen, of your Zoom screen, there's a Q&A function. If you want to ask a question live to one of the panelists, one of the doctor panelists, you can use that Q&A function tonight, and I'll be posing those questions to the doctors. And then I'm also going to use the list of questions that you submitted via your Google registration form as well tonight. So we'll be going through those. If you have additional questions after the session tonight, you have my email address from the Google registration form, and you can just submit them that way to me, and we'll get an answer back to you on that. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and get started with having each of the doctors introduce themselves and tell us a little bit about themselves. So Dr. Adrienne, let's start with you.
Awesome. Hi, guys. My name is Adrienne Fermonic, and I am a 2016 Creighton graduate. I met my husband in dental school, and we got married right after we graduated. We started with Aspen as our, oh, there he is, as our first job out of school, and we were working in Des Moines. We wanted the opportunity to own multiple practices, so we relocated to Central Missouri, where we own 2 offices, and then now Kansas City, where we own 1. So that's where we're at now.
Awesome, I love it. And Dr. Parrott, look, both you and Dr. Joseph just getting off. So Dr. Parrott, can you tell us a little bit about your background too?
Sure. I'm from St. Louis, Missouri. I graduated from dental school at UMKC in 2018. I met Dr. Joseph and Dr. Adrienne right out of dental school, and I moved to Columbia straight as a lead doctor and ran that office right out of dental school. And I am now partnered with them and kind of helping them out in Central Missouri as they move forward, opening more offices in Kansas City market.
Excellent. Welcome, both you guys. And I know that Doc's in the middle, Dr. Joseph is in the middle of getting there. So you kind of gave the background for him. So let's go ahead and we'll dive into the questions, okay?
Sounds good.
Excellent. So starting off, I thought this was kind of interesting because we usually start off with trying to talk through the differences between DSOs and overall just the options that are out there. And I do have someone that submitted this question, and I don't think we've ever had this one before. So let's just start off with this. And it says, some of our faculty believe that private practice or specialty is the best option. Did your faculty have the same view, and how has that influenced you? So Dr. Adrienne, you want to start with you?
For sure, yeah. You know, having gone to Creighton, we ran into the same thing. It's like the old boys club where everybody graduated from the military and then they worked in a private practice. And so DSOs in general were really kind of frowned upon for us in dental school. And they were kind of for Joseph and I initially too, because we didn't know anything about it. Joseph came out and he was sure he was going to work in private practice. He was, you know, had a was having conversations with the private practice doctor to work for him, and he didn't have any opportunity to have health care. And so we said, okay, Adrian, why don't you work somewhere like Aspen or Heartland or Pacific for a while, and then, you know, we could start our own private practice or whatever we thought we were going to do. And so we did, and then Joseph's private practice deal fell through when they told him they were going to pay him like a hygienist. And he had a job with Aspen, like, I don't know, 12 hours later, I think. So we didn't even take it seriously or consider it. We thought, oh, we'll work here for a year and figure it out, you know. And here we are 4 years later.
Awesome. And 3 practices already.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely. Hey, Dr. Parrott, how about you? Did you come across that as well at UMKC?
Yeah, I did. Usually it is like the older doctors at my school as well, kind of talking you out of it. Usually it's the stipulation behind they're gearing your treatment plans and they're telling you what to do and they're working you to the bone and all that kind of stuff. But in reality, create your own schedule. Not one time has anybody told me how to diagnose. No one's touched a single treatment plan of mine. It's basically, I feel like my Columbia office is like my office, with the exception that it just doesn't say my name on the roof. And personally, I take a little bit more money in my pocket than having my name on the door. So that's kind of why I went DSO. And actually, I had enough doctors that told me that in dental school, and I just wanted to see for myself because I'm like that. So I did the interviews and did all that. And I decided on Aspen for a couple of reasons, but we'll get into that in a little bit. It was kind of funny. The main doctor that told me it was the worst idea in the world is Dr. Chamier, who's now a dentist for Aspen Dental. So it kind of all works out in the end.
That's awesome.
That's ironic.
Very cool.
He was my ER doctor in school, and now he's our Kansas City Mo doctor.
That is awesome. Doc, you started to say this, so it goes right into one of the other questions. So I'll bring up that. How does Aspen differ from other corporate dental offices? So maybe we'll step into that one next. Dr. Parrott, do you want to start with that?
Sure. So whenever I was looking at different kinds of DSOs, because I didn't really have a private practice I wanted to join, I wanted to learn a lot and get mentored a lot. And I just didn't want to be a filling monkey, which I heard could be the downside of most private practices because of how the way the bonus structures and everything work. So I went DSO for that reason. But the big thing is I came down to Pacific and I came down to Aspen, and it was both because of the contracts. Aspen and Pacific don't do contracts. It's more of an offer. But where Aspen differs from Pacific is they don't have a non-compete. So no, not only are you not contracted and have to stay at the office that you're at, but you could quit. Hopefully you give a little bit of notice and you could work across the street from me if you wanted to. There's nothing legally binding you to that. And the reason that was so important to me is because dental school is hell. Basically 4 years where you are locked in a building that you don't want to be in, and it is hell. And the last thing I wanted to do is sign my life away for another year and a half, or 2 years, or whatever it may be with most of these contracts with other offices or other DSOs, things like that. And I wanted the freedom to where if I didn't like it, and if all the rumors were true from all of the staff members and dentists at the school telling me this is a bad idea, I wanted to be able to get out in a couple of months. And so that was a big positive for me, is I never felt stuck.
Yeah, excellent, Doc. Thanks. That was really clear with that. Dr. Adrian, how about you? Any other differences that you would say between DSOs?
So I didn't even really look anywhere else. I'll be honest. I applied to Aspen and they gave me a job, and so I took it and ran. The only thing I've heard, one of the doctors who works with us in the Lawrence, Kansas location, said that the bonus structure is significantly different. I mean, he had friends who worked for Pacific, and if you didn't meet a certain amount of requirements and how much money you produced, you could get a $0 paycheck. At Aspen, that's not how the pay structure is. The pay structure is that you have a daily rate of what you get paid every day. It's $600 a day. And you get that whether you do one filling or you produce $15,000 worth of dentistry. You can't have it taken away from you. And then on top of that, in an associate position, you have a bonus structure of 8 to 10%. And in an MCD position, which is the lead doctor or managing clinical director, you have a bonus structure of anywhere from 16 to 20%. And those percentages are based off your patient satisfaction rate. So on top of your base pay, which I think it works out to like 150 some a year, Crystal, then you can have a bonus on top of that.
Yeah,
Well,
you're right.
let me transition off that, Adrian. So
Perfect.
another big aspect that Aspen has versus a lot of others is the way the bonus is actually paid out. So with Aspen, the bonus is actually paid out based on total production of the office, which is not the same way for private practice. That is why you guys end up as filling monkeys and just doing a bunch of fillings and crown preps and things like that. And the big dollar procedures that you actually want to be a part of and do always goes to the owner doctor, the lead doctor. With Aspen, since the bonus structure is paid off at the end of the month and it's based on the total production, I don't care who does the procedure because we're both going to bonus on that exact procedure, whether you're doing it or if I'm doing it. So if you're my associate dentist and there's at the exact same time, there's a full mouth surgery and there's 6 veneer preps and you would rather do the surgery or you would rather do the 6 veneer preps, I'll just say, go right on ahead. I'm not going to stand in your way. So it allows you to learn so much faster because I'm going to let you do those big procedures that you really, really want to do and accomplish while also having me as your backup if you can't get a tooth out or if you have a question or something. So I learned so much more so fast because I was able to get put into the situations that I wanted to be put into right off the bat.
Excellent. And Dr. Adrian, one of the things that you were talking about, you're right, that was brought up before. And the difference with Aspen is that Aspen resets every month. So I think you were talking about someone got a 0 paycheck because they can go in the hole at a non-Aspen facility.
Correct.
But Aspen resets every month. So you don't go in the hole. You always
Correct.
have your daily guarantee.
Yes.
And then to Dr. Parrott's point, obviously you can have the opportunity for a lot more. Excellent.
So when you guys are applying to all these places, ask those questions. How is the bonus structure paid out? More so than just them telling you that you get a bonus, because if it's based on what you actually produce, those patients don't know you. And so you're not going to get a lot of production done. So you ain't going to make the bonus that they're promising you. So you've got to be really careful on how they're wording things.
Excellent. Thanks, guys. The next thing I have is wanting to know how long before graduation did you really start talking or really start looking at opportunities? So not in particular with Aspen, but just when did you really start looking for opportunities? Dr. Adrian, you want to start with that?
Yeah. So I kind of drag my feet because I don't like change. And so Joseph finally looked at me and was like, you're going to need to get a job here. So I was late to the game for sure. He was in talks with the private practice owner about a year ahead of time. So I would recommend, I would say there's no time that's too early. Don't just look at one option, look at many options and, get your neck out there early because the early bird gets the worm for sure.
Yeah,
I'd say at least a year.
Especially with like offices. So, a lot of times, if you have a certain area that you want to live, like there's only so many offices and opportunities in that area. It's very rare that you can procrastinate and then get,
especially
everything
in Iowa.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
There's only so many options in Mason City or Des Moines or wherever you want to be.
That's why they're going to move to Jeff City.
Or that.
When you said Jeff City, I love it. I love it.
Always plugging.
Yeah.
And Dr. Parrott, how about you?
So wait, what was the question again? I got a
When
little
when did you start thinking about your post grad?
I started communicating late October, early November, so kind of right now, and I started interviewing come December, and I was actually hired in December. So it does, like Joseph said, it does help with location because there is only so many spots. Although location isn't everything, because I'd follow the money. So that way, like if you wanted to go anywhere in the world, you literally you work for like you work 4 days a week and then you get to travel to a random city. I'd rather do it that way. But if you want location, the sooner the better.
Good. Excellent. Good advice. Here's the next question that I have. And while you were interviewing, what questions did you wish that you would have asked during the interview or that you feel is important to ask during the interview? And Dr. Parrott, you actually did bring up one that was very good about really talking about, is it off of your, are you going to incentivize off of your production or off the facility's production? So do you want to take it from there, Doc, with anything else that you asked or that you wish you would have asked?
So definitely ask about the non-compete. Prepare for you not liking the situation you're going into. I'm a very prepared person when it comes to that. So I'm always like to know my end game. Hopefully you don't need it, but I want to know what I have, what my options are to get out. So that's really big to me. And then just keep in mind that you're a doctor and whoever's interviewing you wants you more than you want them. So be confident, know what your skill level is, know what you like, and don't be shy of saying what you want, and just be forthcoming, because it's either like speak now or forever hold your peace kind of a situation. So definitely explain how you want to be treated and what you want out of this.
Excellent. Thanks, Doc. Dr. Adrian, how about you? Anything else that you want to add to that?
I would definitely, so like if some of you very well could have been like me, where, you know, you went to undergrad, you went to dental school, you'd never really had a real job before. You'd never signed a contract. You'd never really had expectations of you of a real job. So I would be sure to just ask, like, you know, how, all the things you want to know. How do I get paid? What's my money? Like, what are the expectations of me? Do I need to produce a certain amount? What are your goals for me and my growth? You know, do you want to have an associate forever? Are you interested in having partners? Are you going to retire in 3 years and want to have someone buy your office? I would just be very direct with what you want, and any questions that you have, because as long as it's presented in a thoughtful manner, there's not really a stupid question.
Yeah, agreed. Dr. Joseph, anything you would add to that?
I would keep your options open and be honest about what you actually want. If you want, like, everybody I interview always says, I want mentorship. Well, saying like, I want mentorship, everybody does. Aspen has a great culture of mentorship, but if there's something else you want, like Brett kind of touched on it, like Brett was very financially motivated. I personally am very financially motivated. So if Crystal said you should go work in the Des Moines market, well, the Des Moines market was saturated when I was there. And so it wasn't a great opportunity for me. I wanted to own multiple practices. So you have to, it would behoove you to be very honest about what your goals and your dental career are. And it's okay to not know everything at the beginning, but you know, you shouldn't go into a market that's all owned if you want to have ownership. And you shouldn't, you know, maybe that means you're moving to, I don't know, like Jeff City or something. And so there's opportunities outside of maybe where you grew up and where you live that I would seriously consider. And so, I mean, I never thought I was going to be in Missouri because I was an Iowa boy. So you never know where life will take you.
Has everybody caught on that we need a doctor in Jeff City yet?
Yeah. He's said it only twice. Only twice.
Only twice. I'm sure one more is coming in.
I put up the Iowa flag for him, just so you know.
Hey, you can hang out with me. I need some friends here.
Hey, I'm already your best friend.
I have a question that came on the live, and it is
Jelly bean.
patient's point of view. What would be
Daddy?
the advantage of going to Aspen Dental versus going to a private practice for dental care?
Hey, Joseph, can you mute your thing? Okay, now can you read the question one more time?
Absolutely. From a patient's point of view, what would be the advantage of going to Aspen Dental versus going to a private practice for dental care?
Oh, that's a good Joseph question. Did you hear that?
What would be going to
This is
Dr.
very
Gary, you wanna
Joseph
start
question.
that?
Well, I would say the big advantage of Aspen Dental is going to be, well, one, it's going to be insurances. We pretty much take almost every insurance there is, which opens the market for us. So there's a lot of private practices and places around that just won't take certain insurances. So there's a lot of people just stuck in without a dentist. So we don't turn those patients away. We figure out a way to break down the barriers and get them the care that they need, regardless if they have a DHMO that's going to, basically we're doing it for almost free. And that's okay, because I want to help. The main reason we all became dentists is to help other people. And so I do like helping out that market. Another big reason is, I mean, really it's, a lot of our patient base is going to be more of that surgery denture base. So Us having, and this is big for you guys, is because I hated making dentures in school, is we have a lab tech here in the office. So we can flip dentures and get people things like in rapid speed, like crazy fast. I'm talking like the same day. If you got a good lab tech, they could flip a denture and you could do a surgery and deliver a denture the exact same afternoon and you met them that morning, which is absolutely crazy to think. And the best part is I do basically nothing. So since dental school, I haven't taken an impression or done any of that kind of stuff, which is nice. But the main reason I'm saying that is because you have the lab tech and you have the skill set already in the office to provide that for those patients. So besides that, it's also the cost. We're mediocre to lower cost in comparison to the rest of the market in the area. So we are really helping out that blue collar, hardworking man that is usually lost in the dental care that's needed.
Excellent. Thanks, Doc.
I think a big thing for that would be just access to care. With Aspen Dental, we do all oral surgery in-house, all endo. We have endodontists that come to offices. I have oral surgeons that come to offices. I teach my doctors how to do horizontal full bony thirds. Tori, like we can pretty much do everything in-house.
Implant.
Yeah, implants. So you really name it, you can stay under one roof, which is pretty helpful for patients instead of sending them to, Dr. So-and-so and then the next Dr. So-and-so, and they're kind of just seeing you for the crown, So we do a lot of stuff under one roof, which is really helpful for patients.
Excellent. And Dr. Parrott, you said something about that you're not taking impressions now. So can you talk us through what you're doing?
So since I have a lab tech in house and I have a full dental assistant, I haven't touched a cavitron and cleaned a tooth, and I haven't done an impression since dental school, and it's glorious. It's a whole new world from dental school.
Excellent. Thanks, Doc. The next question that I have is, how do you know when you're ready to move on from an associate role to the next to a lead position? So, Dr. Joseph, you want to start with that since you got home?
Yeah, when you know. So a lot of times you'll know as you're practicing when you've reached that skill set. And typically everyone else around you will know as well.
You're getting faster, you're getting more proficient,
more productive. And so a lot of times not only will you know, but everybody around you will recognize that same growth potential, and they'll be having talks with you
about moving up
into a higher position, whether it be associate to managing clinical director where you take on more responsibility, or managing clinical director to partnership or owner. So
absolutely.
I mean, Brett, how long were you even in MCD?
Wait, what? How long was it?
How long were you?
You left me alone day 4.
I gave you DDP.
Dr. Parrott, talk about yours. So, because I have that as a question, really, with walking through mentorship and knowing what position is right for you. So, you want to walk through how that evolution happened for you?
So they needed a lead doctor in Columbia, and they offered loan repayment and stuff like that because we're right in the lead doctor. And I was good with my hands. I wasn't the smartest in my class, but I was really good with my hands, and I'm an all around confident person. Whether that's good or bad, I am. And so in the interview that I came off, so when Joseph offered me a lead position, I mean, I went for it. But he saw he was going to give me 2 months of mentorship and things like that. And since Joseph's such a great mentor, and Adrian, she taught me all. Adrian was actually working with me in the office to get me kind of started off. So we worked together for a little while. So they still, even though I started off as a lead, they transitioned me really well. But it was scary. If you have the opportunity to go lead, I mean, and you're ready for it, go for it. If you have the opportunity to go associate behind a great mentor doctor, you're going to just develop and learn so much faster as well. But I'm a sink or swim kind of learner, so I thought that was the right situation for me. I know that's not for everybody, because that means I did learn from a couple mistakes that I made, and that's okay as long as you always do what's right for the patient, you fix those. To go back to your original question, when you think you're ready, I would say you're ready to go move from an associate to an MCD the second you walk into that room and you know you're not going to need any help. No matter what the procedure may be, whether it's a 6-unit bridge prep or it's fully impacted wisdom teeth. Now, granted, you are the one diagnosing it, so if you don't want to do fully impacted wisdom teeth, that doesn't mean you're not ready to be an MCD. That means you just send all your fully impacted wisdom teeth to the oral surgeon. But if everything that you diagnose, you can walk in that room confidently and you can get it done, you're not going to need somebody to back you out of a sectioning of a number 2 or something like that. That's when you're ready to run the office.
Okay, excellent. Good advice. And Dr. Adrian, you followed a little bit different path. Do you want to talk a little bit about yours as well?
Yeah. So I was working with an owner doctor in Des Moines who was my mentor, and he's awesome, and I really enjoyed my time with him, and I was his associate until we moved and I couldn't be anymore. And I maintained an associate role, and I just worked part-time, and that's been great for me. I was, worked with Dr. Brett training him, and then I was his associate, and that worked great. And that's also a great option. Everybody seems to come out, wanting to own a practice or whatever it may be. And both right out of school or long-term, it's not necessarily the best option for everybody. There's the other options to be an associate doctor also.
Absolutely. Yeah. Excellent. Thanks for sharing that, Doc. I have another question that came in here, and it is, you mentioned mentorship a lot. What if you want to focus on a specific procedure, such as implant placement? How does Aspen provide resources to get those CEs, education, in those types of situations? Or do those cases go straight to specialists?
So Aspen is just now releasing an implant series for CE that is open to all Aspen docs. Prior to being accepted into it, there's minimum requirements for extractions and some procedures that you have to have. But Aspen will give you all the CE you could possibly want as far as single tooth and all on 4 implant cases. I'm going through the training right now. And so are kind of all the docs. Brett's going through it too. So Aspen will provide all that to you. The big thing is to know not to run before you can walk. Mm-hmm. And so coming out and saying, I want to place implants all day. Like, I'd love for you to do that, but you have to be proficient in the other aspects.
General dentistry also.
Of dentistry.
Yes.
Because you can't place an implant if you can't get the tooth out.
Yeah.
Dr. Parrott, anything else to add for that?
We pretty much hit it on the nail on the head. The only thing I'd like to, say is when we say we refer out, we also do have the oral surgeons and stuff come to our office. So yes, you may feel uncomfortable with a certain procedure in the beginning, but if you refer that to your oral surgeon, the oral surgeon is coming into your office while you are in that office with him. So who's to say you can't block your schedule for that hour and actually watch that procedure and learn from the oral surgeon in that office? You can kind of manage your own CE in that sense. So if you want to learn fully impacted thirds, but your mentor doc doesn't do fully impacted thirds, well, why don't you let your oral surgeon teach you in the office that you're already at? So there's a lot of ways to get like the opportunities and the training that you want on top of all the crazy amounts of CE that Aspen does offer you for free. Some are fun and you get to travel, and some are boring on the computer, but either way, they're always available.
Awesome. Thanks, Doc. I have a follow-up to your question, or actually to one of your responses, and that is that you mentioned that you're confident and went into the lead position. If you're someone that isn't as confident, would you consider or suggest a GPR or an AGD for them? So who wants to start with that one? Dr. Pierce?
That's a good question.
Yeah, so instead of jumping straight to the GPR, what I would do instead would be to remember, like I said earlier, the interview is not just for the people interviewing you, it's also for you interviewing them. So if you want to meet the mentor doctor you're signing up for, ask to meet the mentor doctor that is hiring you into that office. So I learned 10 times more than I could have learned in a GPR because I was put in that situation with great multiple mentor doctors helping me, training me into that sense. And I also made a really nice paycheck while doing it. And I feel like I'm better off for it. So if you can get into a situation where your mentor doctor is literally just going to give you that one-on-one training, you're going to learn faster than a GPR and also get a lot more to pay off that loan debt that I'm sure is going to start becoming very daunting come next December for you guys.
Absolutely. Dr. Joseph, how about, do you have anything else to add to that? So if you're, did you hear the
Everybody that
question?
I've talked to that's really done a GPR has wished they would have gone out into practice
And work instead.
and worked instead. My best friend did a GPR, and then he came to work at Aspen afterwards, and
It didn't do him any favors.
It didn't do him any favors.
Yeah.
Like, it's hospital-based dentistry, like
Typically, yeah.
And if
It's
that,
black and white. It's black and white. They don't teach you the gray. It's still follow the book like dental school. So you don't
Even
really
like
learn the real life dentistry.
it's stuff you do in a hospital, which was a lot of his, which is like cool. You got to see sedation. He doesn't sedate anyone. He got to do a bunch of INDs. He doesn't do INDs. So like, I think that you'd be better off, even if you weren't working for Aspen, just being in actual practice. The only, like, you can't fake skill, and skill takes time to learn. And so you can't fake the repetitions that it takes to be a good clinician.
Okay, excellent. Thanks you guys for both. So the next question I have, and we're going to move into some compensation questions that we have here. But the first one is though, is they're wanting to know, is there a daily, weekly, or monthly revenue goal? You talked about earlier that's some to ask if there's goals that you have to meet. So is there goals that you have to meet? Dr. Adrian, Dr. Joseph, you want to start with that one?
You go ahead.
Okay.
That's a good one for you.
Goals that we have to meet as an office? Is that what like the question is, or personal?
We had talked a little bit about when you're interviewing, a good question is to be very clear about where your expectations
are.
Yeah. So each office has a budget. It's more or less fictitious. It'd be a goal to strive to try and hit. You know, and so there's not really like, hey, we have to do 34 crowns this month to do that, or 25 dentures. There is a budget that you try and go after, but I don't know that a lot of people look at the budget.
It's a guideline of productivity. Okay, yeah,
but nobody's telling you how to get there.
Yeah, I would say have versus want is a big difference. The goal that you have to reach is enough money to pay your staff and keep the doors open. That's the have to meet. The goal that you want to meet is something that you set for yourself and you set for your team based on the productivity that you want to achieve, the bonuses that you want to achieve, and the amount of patients you want to help. But that's all a number that you can create pretty much on your own. But you still got to keep the doors open. That's the same for whether it's DSO, private practice. Everybody's got a low end that they have to meet just to stay in business.
Makes sense. So the next one is just wanting to know about overall loan repayment. Were you able to take advantage of loan repayment? So I guess we can walk through on Dr. Parrott. You want to start with that one?
Yeah, so a lot of people don't get loan repayment just because I think you do have to get an MCD role, as maybe not. I mean, it depends on your negotiation skills. It always does. But for me, what my loan repayment looked like was it was a $100,000 loan repayment paid over 3 years. I lost my loan repayment after year one when I became a partner and owner of the office, because the loan repayment is paid out by the office. So I'd be basically paying myself my own loan repayment. So I chose that transition because I make more now as a partner than I did with loan repayment. But if I would have stayed as an MCD role and didn't want to buy in, things like that, then I would have gotten $100,000 over 3 years, which is pretty nice.
Excellent. Thanks, Doc. And Dr. Joseph, I know that you've offered loan repayment so maybe you could talk a little bit about that and how you look at that.
So typically, if you're going for a major city, it's very difficult to get loan repayment. Like if you're going for, I don't know, a smaller city like Jeff City or something, there's definitely
Third time.
There's definitely loan repayment. And even kind of like touching on what Brett said, it's great to negotiate for loan repayment, but 95% of the time, there's more money to be had than loan repayment. Like in Brett's circumstance, he went from making that money over the course of 3 years, he can make it in 6 months. So why would you keep the loan repayment?
Right.
So there's different avenues you can take, but it's definitely an option in practices that are a little bit more rural or harder to staff doctors.
Absolutely. Excellent. let's cover, since we're talking about loan repayment as well, just what typical offers look like, because the other part that they're looking at is relocation. So looking to go to the East Coast, and what would relocation look like? So, and again, I know on average they look pretty similar. So you guys have been relocated, Dr. Adrian and Dr. Joseph.
Yeah.
So maybe you could talk a little bit about just how that works with relocation.
Yeah. So, wait. Hold
I need
on.
her
Sorry,
tiny.
Crystal. I made you tiny. Oh shoot,
No,
I made you
even
tiny.
worse.
I got to find you there. Okay, there we go. Yeah. So relocation is certainly an option. We relocated twice to Central Missouri and then to Kansas City, and that can certainly be part of an offer. It's really nice and easy, actually. You know, their Aspen works with a moving company to schedule the dates, pack your things, move your things, and unload your things for you. So it's really easy and nice, and that is an option in many contracts for relocation.
Excellent. So overall, they're negotiating with you guys as practice owners, and these are all options that are on the table for them to be able to negotiate, depending
Correct.
on the location.
Yes.
Yeah, it's usually all a fictitious number. Then if they're looking for a number, the number I see most of the time is 7,500. So that way, not only does it pay for you moving from this location to another location, but it'll also pay for your first and last month's rent and your deposit for the place that you're moving into. So that way you can literally just get started before that, so you're never worried about when do I get that first check.
Excellent. Before we move on from compensation, I don't want to forget to get this question answered from it. Could I earn a higher or expect a higher salary if I complete a GPR or an AEGD first?
No.
So no, I own a couple offices and I get paid the same as my associates in those offices. Typically the daily rate is going to be about $600 no matter where you are. You can certainly try and negotiate more, but I've never been paid my daily rate ever at the time I've worked at Aspen. And so you're always going to make money with
Meaning
the
you've
bonus.
made more.
Yeah, I've always made more money than that because of the bonus system. And so it's not like a battle I'd fight hard for because there's such little benefit. It's going to come out of your bonus then. So
I'd like to add something too. So there always seems to be this question with DSOs in general, like, well, they're not honest, or you're trying to make a lot of money and not do the right thing for patients. So I think something that should be addressed is, you know, so it's a large national company, and there's availability for marketing, and there's a lot of strategic planning and getting patients in the door. So it is a situation where you have the new patients that can generate good revenue where you can make a lot of money. It's not a situation where, you know, you're doing incipient etches on all the teeth to try to make an extra $150. Mm-hmm. You know, you can have 5 patients walk in the door in a day, all who need a full mouth extraction case with dentures. And that could easily be $25,000 worth of revenue just in a day of new patients. Mm-hmm. So,
like Brett in Central Missouri, actually even us in Kansas City, we're seeing almost 10 new patients a day. And so I don't have to change your amalgams to composite.
Right. We're not scrounging for unethical dentistry.
I have more dentistry
to try to make money.
Do.
Mm-hmm.
We seem to get that angle sometimes. So.
I'm glad you brought that up, Doc. There is a couple of questions just around overall, around autonomy and around how do you build your schedule. So maybe it would be a good segue into autonomy and how do each of you guys build your schedule, or who builds the schedule for you. Dr. Adrian, do you want to start with that?
So you know, as a MCD dentist and an associate dentist, you'll see your new patients, and your new patients are typically what generates the most revenue to put onto the schedule. Our clientele is a set of patients who hasn't been to the dentist in anywhere from 5 to 20 years, and so they often need a significant amount of dental work. So we see them with their new patient exam, we do their hygiene exam, we make a plan, and then we get them on the schedule to do their treatment. So really, you build your own schedule. Now, it's not necessarily because you saw the new patient that you have to do the treatment. Your MCD can do it, or you as the MCD and the associate can do it, whatever. But the goal is to see the new patients and then get them into the treatment in a timely manner.
Excellent.
So you build your schedule by seeing your new patients and doing your recalls.
Dr. Parrott, anything to add?
Yeah, so I still have to look at myself in the mirror and sleep at night, and so I'm mostly too nice to a lot of my staff and to the patients and stuff. So whenever I go in, like, I shouldn't really tell the pharmacist, but I do a lot of free work too. If somebody needs some help, I'm gonna help them. Whether they can afford it or they cannot, I'm gonna help them. I cannot stand somebody leaving my office in pain. So that's how I do so well. Is I don't do things that aren't needed. I get enough of those new patients, like what Joseph said, to be able to do that. I build my own schedule, and I build it pretty full. But where I'm different is, like, I'm really quick at surgery. So if a patient comes in pain, I treat them that same day. So that's how I build my revenues. I'm almost double producing, but I'm doing that to myself. No one's making me double produce. But that way, when the patient comes in and I take new x-rays and I see them for the first day, they're leaving my office out of pain. And I can guarantee that. You don't have to run your office that way, but that's how I prefer to do well. I don't do well because every MOD I see, I turn into a crown. That's not the way I do things. I probably should do less wrap around 4 surface posterior teeth, and I'm told that all the time, but I still do it because that's what I want to do for those patients, and ultimately it's your decision.
Excellent, excellent. Kind of a follow-up onto that is understanding, just want to have a good idea of what is the assortment of procedures that you're performing at your office. And I know we've talked about a couple of different things, especially with the CEs, but maybe we could talk through just what do you typically see and what's your assortment of procedures. So Dr. Parrott, you want to start with that one?
So since it is Aspen Dental, I don't do a ton of veneers, although I do some because I'm in the Columbia market. I'm right next to Mizzou. I do everything from aesthetic work to gigantic bridges in the front. I've done one day and one appointment, 2-hour appointment. I prepped 12 teeth. I literally did all of his upper teeth all in once. So I've done full aesthetic remouth reconstruction, and then all the way down to like the surgery side of thing where I do fully impacted sinus closures, mandibular tori removal, pretty much everything you can think of is something I do, and Joseph does it even faster.
Doc, was there anything left to add to that? That pretty much covered it, right?
Yeah, totally. General dentistry and less surgery.
Excellent, excellent. So the question that came off of that is, are your dental assistants expanded function? Is that something that you need to have? So who wants to?
Nice.
It's not something you need to have, but it's really nice. Like Brett, I don't think has done a denture step a day in his life because he's got 2 expanded functions DAs to do that. In the state of Missouri, we can have a class 1 and class 2 restorative dentures fixed, like maybe ortho or something. But they're nice to have. I don't utilize them maybe as much as other people do. I know Brett does sometimes quite a bit, but I personally don't.
I lost Adrian. What am I supposed to do?
Yeah, they're certainly a benefit. You know, they cost more money, but they're worth having.
Worth every penny.
Yeah.
If you can get one to apply, you hire them. You pay whatever they ask.
Excellent. So you talked about how many new patients there that come in, but overall, how many patients do you see a day? So which one Dr. Parrott, you want to start with that one?
Okay, so we're not normal. Just so everybody's aware, like Joseph, Adrian, not normal in this market. We see more because we want to see more. So let me reiterate that you do not have to see as many patients as we see. But I would say probably around I see about 30, 35 patients a day. Okay. But I probably say the average Aspen office is more around that 20 to 25.
Yeah, like the offices in central Missouri, like, I don't know, Jeff City and Columbia, they both see about 10 new patients a day. And so that's 10 patients right there that aren't that hard to see a new patient, especially once you kind of
it's quick.
Figure that out.
Denture step is quick.
Brett's also including 10 to 12 overflow denture step patients that he doesn't really do.
I walk in and I'm like, yep, looks good.
Yep. And so the final 10 or so are your production patients or people you flip from the new patient column. And so as an MCD, you'd be expected to probably see, I don't know, 10 procedures, 10 new patients, and 10 overflow. That doesn't mean you're going to be spending more than 3 minutes in the room with some of them. As an associate, you're typically going to see, maybe 8 procedures and 1 or 2 overflow and 1 or 2 new patients. So it's just a vastly different workload. But when you're ready for the managing clinical director role, handling the new patients is pretty easy, and so is all of dentistry gets a lot easier.
You have to remember too, when you first come out and you're right out of school, you as an associate, you may just be doing 3 procedures in the morning and 3 in the afternoon. Or if it's a full mouth, that might take you 2 hours, and another full mouth that might take you 2 hours. That might be only 2 patients in the morning. So
Okay.
So don't get overwhelmed with that. You start just as with anything new, you start out slow and you grow.
You pick how long you want for certain procedures. We go over that with you in the start. So if you want an hour and a half for an occlusal filling, that's what we're going to give you. Like, we're going to motivate you to do better and build your speed, because that's the one thing you don't really learn in dental school. But ultimately, you pick your hours. And whenever you're ready to shorten those hours and see more patients, great. Because I personally would rather lighten my load on the production schedule, so that way I have time to same day start and get people out of pain the second they come into my office. And that's just the way I like to work a little better. But you decide how long you want for each procedure. So if you feel like you only want to see 2 patients in the morning, 2 patients in the afternoon to start, that's a fine way to start so you don't feel overwhelmed. But we're going to motivate you and build you and develop you to become an MCD and become the best dentist that you're ready for. But it just takes time, and that time is dependent mostly on you.
Excellent. And then another follow-up here is, will I only see patients that I saw as a new patient?
No.
I mean, maybe you can work that out somehow with the office you're in, but typically all the patients are kind of mixed together.
Yeah, and
it doesn't matter who sees what.
If you have a new patient exam and the patient really liked you and they say, oh, I want to see Dr. Jones for all of my procedures, that certainly can be accommodated. Mm-hmm. But there's most likely you're going to be seeing, established patients in the practice. You'll be seeing hygiene exams. So not just your new patients that you see, probably not.
Excellent. And Dr. Parrott, you have associates there as well. And how are they assigned their patients?
So yeah, no one's assigned anything. If I'm like not busy and my associate went in to see a new patient room, I might duck my head in and just introduce myself and let them know that we're both going to be able to help you out. And whenever I'm doing a new patient exam, if my associate's able to come in and meet the person, then great. If not, I always let the patient know that they should expect to see me and Dr. Patel, and whether or not it is, and just to be prepared that both of us will be able to help you. And that goes into the whole bonus structure and all that kind of stuff, to where we're not going to pick and choose on the production we're doing. If you want to do a certain procedure, you can do that procedure. So that way, if you diagnose a patient that needs a root canal here, a root canal here, and then a horizontal bony here, but you want to do the root canals, but you don't want to do the horizontal bonies, well, okay, you get to do the root canals and I'll do the horizontal bony. You can pick and choose procedures that's going to make you a better dentist. It's not based on the patient. So it actually works in your favor as far as learning and evolving and honing into your skills.
Excellent. And you guys, this next one, talking still on clinicals, really around instruments and materials that they use. Are they limited to what materials or instruments that they can use within an Aspen dental practice?
Limited by your imagination. I'm going to be honest. I have a lot of people that kind of come through my office as far as people for mentorship and stuff like that. And they all want like 50,000 different things, and I'll buy them. And I'll tell you, after 2 weeks of doing it in the real world, you don't use it.
Yeah.
But I'm happy to get it for you. It's just, it never happens. You're going to get down to hey, I use 4 burrs to do
all my procedures.
All of my procedures. Yeah. And not all my procedures, literally all of my procedures are with these 4 burrs. And you don't think that's possible yet because you haven't lived it, but everybody that comes through the door after 4 weeks, they use the same 4 burrs for everything. And so I'm happy to order whatever you can possibly imagine. Henry Schein's our partner, so literally we can get almost anything dental. And if it's some oddball thing, I'll put in a purchasing ticket and I'll get it for you. No one's really said no to anything.
No.
Yeah.
No, you can use whatever you want. I mean, within reason, of course.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Dr. Parrott, were you going to add something to that?
No, I mean, whatever you want, we can provide it for you. I mean, the only thing we suggest is like utilize us as mentors. You try it our way, you can try it your way, then that way you can pick which one you like better. And if you still like your way better, no problem at all. I'll get that stuff for you.
Excellent. Hey, the next question I got up is wanting to know, do you guys have intraoral scanners / CAD cams?
Yes.
What?
We have intraoral scanners, yes, in every office.
Yeah, so we use our intraoral scanners. We scan every new patient when they come into my office. You can show them their mouth and they can diagnose their own caries that way. That's how my exams go so fast. I'm just kidding. Oh, no, but for real, like we can show them that. We use our scanners. We can create, do obviously crowns, Invisalign, partial dentures. We scan those. Full dentures, we've scanned some of those. We use that scanner for everything all the time.
What other technology, Doc, do you have in the office?
We have, well, Brett has a CBCT. I'm waiting for mine to come. And so we've got some cool stuff coming out with the implants. If you scan the patient's mouth with your iTero and then do a CBCT, it will plan your implant surgery for you. It will tell you what size implant, how deep to go, where to go, and it 3D prints out a guide for you. So we're going to actually probably all be replaced by monkeys.
There you go. There you go. Hey, Doc, they also wanted to know about CAD cam though, but you're not milling crowns there. Do you want to talk through the crowns?
So a crown, I actually just randomly today pulled up my crown and bridge report for the first time in literally, I don't know, 3 years. Last month, I did 73 units of crowns, and I paid $24.22 on average per crown. If you look up a milling block, cost $24. And you have to plan the crown, and you have to build the contacts, and then you have to mill it, or you can pay $24.22 and don't do any of that. And they do way better because like their job is to make crowns and yours is to be a dentist.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we don't have any CAD or milling in office.
Excellent. Dr. Parrott, anything else to add on technology?
So I've seen the milling blocks. I've seen what they can do. I prefer to send it to a lab because of aesthetic work. Yeah, you can mill a number 18, mill a 30, something like that. No one's going to see it, so it's not going to be a really big deal. But if you're milling a number 9, it's not going to look like they're number 8. There's no way. And so you're going to want to, even though you'd have that CAD cam in the office, half the time you're not going to use it, and then it never pays for itself. So I really don't think that them waiting 2 weeks to get their crown in, or whatever it is, 9 days to get their crown in, no one's ever been upset by that. If that's something you really want to use and learn that, then I'm sure there's other opportunities for you. But I promise you, it's not going to make or break you in your business. It's actually going to help you if you don't use a CAD cam.
Okay, excellent. Thanks, Doc. We've got 7 minutes left, so I've got a couple of questions here. And instead of doing the individual benefits questions, we have a couple. Maybe we could just give an overview on benefits for.
Yeah, for sure.
Would that be easier, Dr. Adrian? You want to start with that?
Yeah. So you of course have health insurance. It's through Blue Cross Blue Shield. There's I don't know. Do we have dental? We don't have dental insurance.
We don't have dental because we do each other's work.
Okay, that's it. There's vision insurance, there's 401k, there's HSA, there's pet insurance, there's lawyer insurance, there's disability, there's life, there's everything, things that you, 4 million things that you wouldn't even know that you needed if you've never had a real job like me.
Dismemberment insurance.
Dismemberment, yeah. Benefits are great.
Okay, excellent. And how about PTO or,
Yes. Yes. I think there's a structure, but I think for the first 3 years you work at Aspen, you get like 10 days of PTO, you get Christmas, Thanksgiving, 4th of July, and one more, New Year's Day.
I actually think it's 10 days for the first year, and I think it's 13 or 14 days the years after that.
Okay, because of like personal days or sick days or something.
But the way I work and the way most of us work is if you need an extra day off and you already used all your PTO, I'm going to give you that day off and I'll run the office on my own. You just won't get paid for it, but we're going to make sure you have a good lifestyle.
Yep, absolutely, absolutely. And then just to go back really quick, because I had this other question that came up, so I want to make sure that we get this one answered as well.
It is.
Will you talk about is your practice fee for service then? You said you saw all types of insurances as well. So maybe we could just clarify that, Dr. Parrott, just a little bit on insurances. They have one more follow-up question that they had on that.
So do you mean like how, like for like all the new patients that come in? So with the new patients that come in, I can say that it doesn't matter if you have insurance or if you don't have insurance. I don't charge anybody to speak to me. I don't charge anybody to take x-rays, which is what gets that patient in the door so you can win them over with your personality. And it also gets me to be able to help the people that have been avoiding the dentist for so long, because we're breaking down those barriers. We're not charging them a dime to figure out what's actually going wrong. So that helps everybody. But as far as the nit and gritty, as far as the insurances go, the only things we really don't take are Medicare and Medicaid, with the exception of like a couple of subcategories off of it. Everything else we do take with different payouts and things like that.
Excellent.
I don't know if that answers the question.
To answer the fee for service question, we are not a fee for service office. We are in network with insurance companies and we take their negotiated insurance rates.
Excellent. Yeah. Thank you so much. So I'm going to go ahead and end it there, because I think we did a great job with getting through those questions. Thank you guys so much for being on. I appreciate it so much. And University of Iowa, thank you so much. Oh, wait, hold on. I've got one more question here. Just when I said it was done. Wait. Oh, they're saying thank you, guys. Thank you for answering the questions. We appreciate that. And Mega, absolutely. Thanks for being on. But Dr. Parrott, Dr. Adrian, Dr. Joseph, thanks so much, you guys. Have a good night.
Thank you. Good night.
Yeah, thank you.
Bye, guys.